Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Southampton Town Board to order on this 25th day of May, 2021. Please rise if you're able and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would ask that you remain standing and join us for a brief moment of silence. First, if you haven't turned off your cell phone ringers, really good time to do that so it doesn't interrupt our moment of silence. As you know, Monday coming, about 6 days from now, is Memorial Day. And I know it's the weekend is a happy occasion and we celebrate, but it really is there to honor those who've paid the ultimate price serving our nation and our military. So I'd like to use this moment of silence, certainly in their memory and their honor. Also, you know, the pandemic, as much as this is a major turning point that we're able to come back together and take off our masks, so many people have died. The pandemic is not over. The totals in the United States, it's approaching 600,000, 590,000 people. Worldwide, 3.5 million people have died to COVID. I know some of you are from the Shinnecock reservation. I know there's been deaths there. In the county, still pretty much every day there's a fatality. So we're not done yet. We're making progress, but I'd like to also include in our moment of silence not just the memory of those in our military who perished paying the ultimate price for our freedom, but also at this point in the pandemic to take a moment to remember all the lives lost here in Southampton, as well as in the county and in the United States and around the world. So let's all join together in a moment of silence. Okay, please be seated. So we're going to start with a roll call. Madam Clerk, would you kindly call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Schneiderman.
Here.
Councilwoman Lofstad.
Here.
Councilman Martell.
Here.
Councilman Bouvier.
Here.
Councilman Schivoni.
Present.
All right, thank you. And although it's not on the agenda, I've been waiting for a moment to present the state of the town. So if you'll indulge me, I'd like to sort of bring everybody up to speed and present the State of the Town address, and then we'll go about the meeting. I know some of you are here for the hearing on the Napa property, which is early on in the meeting agenda, so it won't be too long. And I'm going to step over to the podium to make these remarks. As this is the first in-person meeting of the Town Board in 2021, I'd like to use this opportunity to present the State of the Town address. The past year has been one of great challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The town spent most of 2020 under a local state of emergency, which continued from March of 2020 until May of 2021. We worked 24/7 to keep people safe in a world turned upside down by an invisible menace. Sadly, too many souls were lost. But I pray that the work we did as a community helped the death toll from being even greater. I pause in memory of all those beautiful lives taken by this illness. The pandemic forced some town services to close and then reinvent themselves in order to serve the public. The extraordinary teamwork of town employees and department heads carried us through the toughest of times. We opened parks, modified workspaces with plexiglass shields and signage, used technology to work remotely, delivered meals and essential items to seniors, distributed face masks and hand sanitizers. We raised money for food pantries. We helped set up testing sites and vaccination sites. We held public meetings online. We sanitized workspaces. We enforced ever-changing state guidelines from everything from limits to private gatherings to prohibited business activities. And we even consoled members of the community who had lost loved ones. Together we have turned the corner. We have now lifted the local emergency order. 100% of our town workforce has returned to work. Our senior centers are back up and running. And today, the town board returns to our first in-person public meeting in nearly a year. Our vaccination rates are the highest in the county, and the new positive case rates are among the lowest. We got here through hard work, teamwork by so many. Firstly, I'd like to thank Public Safety Director Ryan Murphy, who has led our pandemic response team. Ryan has kept us up to date on every aspect of this health crisis. Where is Ryan? Ryan is right here. Let's give Ryan. There's a whole bunch of other people I want to thank, so I'm not going to stop at each one for applause, but each one has done their piece to help keep people safe in this coordinated effort. Police Chief Stephen Skernecki, Human Resources Director Sandra Cericione, who's in the back, Parks Director Kristen Doulos, John Irwin, Head of Parks Maintenance, Town Clerk Sunday Schermeyer, IT Director Paula Pobat, Municipal Works Director and Town Engineer Christine Fetton, Building Maintenance Supervisor Peter Gaudiello, Employee Safety Officer Walter Marzico-Vatera, Controller Len Marchese, Town Attorney Jim Burke, Highway Superintendent Greger, Sole Assessor Lisa Gorey, Tax Receiver Teresa Kiernan, Housing and Community Development Director Diana Weir, Senior Services Director Liz Dwyer, Land Management Administrator Janice Shearer, Chief Building Inspector Dennis O'Rourke, Chief Court Clerk Renee Brathwaite, and all of the town justices, CPF Manager Lisa Combrink, who is here, Connie Conway and Charles Certain at CTV, Rich McEwen and James Cappers at the Hampton-based Water District, Trustee Chairman Eric Schultz, and all of the trustees. I also want to thank the members of all of our land use boards who continue to conduct town business throughout the pandemic. I also want to give a special thank you to my Deputy Supervisor Frank Sapone for his tireless service throughout the pandemic, as well as Janice Wilson and Jackie O'Neill in my office. And of course, all of our other department and division heads and employees for getting us to this point where life is beginning to return to some sense of normalcy. A special thank you also goes to CSEA President Laura Smith for her cooperation throughout the pandemic. We're not there yet. We still have a ways to go. But today is a milestone. And to get to this point, a lot of people have come together, a lot of town employees. So maybe we can give them a collective round of applause. I would be remiss, though, if I did not give a really special thank you to Southampton Hospital and to the medical staff there who were and still are the frontline heroes in this battle. We're also grateful to Suffolk County, New York State, Stony Brook University for their local vaccination efforts, and we thank Father Alex and the Greek Orthodox Church for their tremendous assistance. The pandemic period was a tragic one, with many lives lost, including a treasured town employee, Roxana Flores. It is hard to find anything positive to say about this period, other than how we came together, even while socially distant. We saw the best in people who helped others and performed essential services, like the cashiers at our local grocery stores. We also found new convenient ways to communicate, like Zoom, that in the future will increase citizen participation in government from the comfort of people's own homes, which, by the way, could also cut down on traffic, which would be a good thing. The town litter crew that we put together to pick up disposed personal protective equipment may become a permanent part of town operations, keeping our roadsides and public spaces beautiful. And the workplace modifications we made to help slow the spread of COVID could also help stop the spread of other infectious diseases like the flu or the common cold. And the relaxation of outdoor dining restrictions is something the public seems to enjoy, and we can consider extending. Some of our pandemic restrictions on road end parking near beaches has also been made permanent. Councilman Lofstad and Councilman Martell took the lead role in that initiative. Although the pandemic has been front and center for the last 14 months, the town was also busy with the general business of public service. Building permits were being issued. Parks and roads were being maintained. The bills were being paid, and legislation was being debated and passed. Town Hall was being retrofitted with a new HVAC system. Historic buildings like the Tiana Life Saving Station, the Tupper Boathouse, and the Nathaniel Rogers Home were being restored, as well as the African American Museum in Southampton Village, which, by the way, is scheduled to open its doors on June 19th, also known as Juneteenth. We moved code enforcement operations from here in Town Hall to newly refurbished space in Hampton-based. We purchased an empty commercial building in West Hampton to be used as a new senior and community center. I want to thank Councilman Bouvier for taking the leadership role in making that happen. We also passed a new town code allowing battery storage facilities to help lessen our reliance on non-renewable energy. Thanks to the efforts of Councilman Scavone, we passed legislation requiring groundwater monitoring at all sand mining facilities. With Councilwoman Lofstad's help, we created dedicated parking for veterans and active duty military personnel at all town buildings. Or not maybe all yet, but many. We're getting there, including here at Town Hall. And Councilman Martell helped pass legislation requiring temporary signage to be removed in a reasonable amount of time after an event concludes. We established restrictions at Grubreski Airport Industrial Park to reduce noise by prohibiting air cargo operations, an initiative sponsored by Councilman Bouvier. We also passed the Graves Protection Act, requiring construction to cease when human remains are encountered so that the sanctity of unmarked graves can be protected. And we imposed a building moratorium in the most sensitive burial areas of the Shinnecock people. Our land preservation program in 2020 protected 220 acres of land throughout the town from development. Our top focus was and continues to be in the Shinnecock Hills area. This evening, we will consider additional preservation efforts in that area. We also assisted homeowners with millions of dollars in grants to convert their sanitary systems to new systems that remove nitrogen from wastewater. We provided grants to West Hampton Beach to help sewer its downtown in order to improve the water quality of the bays. We helped the large area of East Quogue, impacted by groundwater contamination, connect to public water by funding new water mains and home connections. We addressed many elements of the infrastructure of the Hampton Bays Water District, resurfacing a water tower, adding filtration for iron and manganese, changing the carbon filtration medium, and we've also increased testing at several well locations. We just recently accomplished a personal goal of mine by launching a community access television channel, Sun 20 TV. I want to thank Connie Conway for her efforts in getting Channel 20 up and running. We also delivered a budget that stayed within the tax cap in spite of all the costs associated with the pandemic response and the loss of revenues from many sources, including building permits and court fees, and an unanticipated spike in state pension fund contributions. Our credit rating was reaffirmed by Standard & Poor's as AAA, which is the highest available credit rating. During the pandemic period, we also conducted a top-to-bottom, community-based review of police practices to examine and address issues of bias. We compiled a lengthy report, which was delivered to Governor Cuomo in April. I want to thank Councilman Schiavone, who serves as liaison to the police department and served on that committee, Chief Skrnicki, and Deputy Town Attorney Christine Scalera for their help, as well as many citizen volunteers who participated in that review. Today also happens to be the one-year anniversary of the death of George Floyd. In the months ahead, we will see progress on additional playing facilities at North Sea Park, construction of a bike trail in Hampton Bays, improvements to the Maritime Park in Hampton Bays, and improvements to the pavilion and parking area at Flying Point Beach. We'll also continue to plan for a new waterfront park in Riverside and construct a memorial tribute to Edith Windsor here at Town Hall. Edie Windsor was a Southampton resident who brought the landmark Supreme Court challenge that legalized marriage for all couples, regardless of gender. We will also review development proposals for the Bel Air property in Hampton Bays, and we will consider new approaches to creating affordable workforce housing. I am hopeful that we will see a resumption of train service for the South Fork Commuter Connection, an effort spearheaded by Assemblyman Fred Thiel. We are also hoping that Albany will pass Assemblyman Thiel's legislation to allow Southampton to create a homestead property tax exemption and a cap on how much taxes can increase based solely on changes in the real estate market. These were recommendations developed by our review committee that included myself and Councilman Rick Martell. In the weeks and months ahead, we will debate important initiatives like possible restrictions on marijuana sales and even consider a ban on helium balloon sales because of their environmental impact. These debates will take place in person, but we will allow for comments to also be made via Zoom technology to increase public participation. The last thing I would like to mention is the work we will be doing related to FIMP. This is a federal project that will help replenish the sand on our beaches and elevate homes in flood-prone areas. You can see that we have been incredibly busy, and we will continue to work hard in the public interest. We have shown through this challenging pandemic period that we work best when we work together. We have come a long way on this journey, and today marks a significant milestone. But I remind you that the pandemic is not over. People are still dying nearly every day in Suffolk County due to COVID. The light at the end of the tunnel is getting brighter, but we are still in the tunnel. We will continue to take whatever steps are needed to keep our community safe. I want to thank you all for your time, and now let's get back to work. Thank you. Okay, so there's a couple of additional resolutions I want to try to add to our agenda. You should all have a packet of walk-on changes. There's 36626 will authorize the supervisor to execute a 2021 annual software support and maintenance agreement with HLP Inc. for Chameleon software products for the animal shelter. 36630, sponsored by Councilman Martell, is a 2021 notice to bidders for mobile ice cream truck concession at Ludlam Avenue Park. 36644 is a 2021 notice to bidders for mobile ice cream truck concession at Red Creek Park and Good Ground Park. 36648 is our 10th warrant. 36662, we may, I guess we'll make a motion to walk on, but I'm waiting on communication from Assemblyman Fred Thiel to make sure that the bill has been amended in Albany, but it's a home rule request resolution in support of Assembly Bill A6688A and Senate Bill 5985A as it relates to the discontinuance of a parcel in Hampton Bays. It's a parkland swap parcel. 36664 recalls and amends Town Board Resolution 2021-474, Active Military and Veterans Discount Card Program. 36665 accepts donation from Better Bait Company for the Southampton Town Active Military and Veterans Discount Card Program. And lastly, 36669 is a resolution authorizing the Parks Director to enter into interim agreements for food concessions pursuant to Town Code Section 111-7B2 for 2021 summer season at Tiana Beach. I'm making a motion to walk them all on. We'll find out later if we can actually vote on the other resolution or have to table it. So, seconded by Councilman Martell. This requires 4 votes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll
Okay.
do them the Zoom.
So-
Aye.
So, okay, so these will be added to our agenda. So next up, I will make a motion to approve the minutes of our regular town board meeting of May 11th, 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. And next, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of our Hampton-based Water District Commissioners meeting of May 13th, 2021.
Second.
Second by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right. Madam Clerk, would you read the communications?
The following communications have been received in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the town of East Hampton, Village of Southampton, Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, public hearing for a location on Meadow Lane in Southampton, Zoning Board of Appeals, public hearing notices for 51 Pond Lane and 950 Meadow Lane in Southampton. The Village of West Hampton Beach, Planning Board for notice for 404 Dune Road, West Hampton Beach, New York State Liquor License 30-day advance notice to local municipality, a new application for Canoe Place Inn, Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays, and Matzelin renewal, West Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays. Financial disclosure statement filings have been received from the listed individuals, and letters, emails, and land use applications have been received regarding the following: change of zone entitled NRP Group LLC Quiog, Chapter 107 Balloons, North Sea Mecox Road Traffic, PSEG Long Island Bridgehampton to Buell BTB 69 kV Underground Cable, Tuckahoe Road Relocation Closure, Planning Board application for Scuttle Hole Road in Bridgehampton, and a Zoning Board of Appeals application for Bayview Drive East, Noyak. The following bid openings took place: food concession at Tiana Beach on May 12th. No bids received. Second notice for mobile food truck at Hot Dog Beach on May 12th. No bids received. And second notice for mobile concession at Mecox Beach on May 12th as well. No bids were received. Third notice, acceptance of North Sea landfill leachate wastewater on May 19th, and a RFP for engineering and design for the West Hampton Community Center on May 13th. RFP for architectural and engineering services for the Tupper Boathouse on May 20th, and an RFP for the New York State DEC Brownfield Cleanup Program for Damascus Landfill on May 20th as well. The following reports were filed for the town in the town clerk's office: WSP status report from Rowe Industries Superfund site in Sag Harbor for November, December of 2020, and January, February, March of 2021. Town Comptroller monthly financial reports for April 2021. And that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
All right, thank you. So we're going to move on to public hearings. We have 2 scheduled. Most of you are here for the first of those 2 public hearings dealing with the Napa property. The way this will work is the clerk will read the public hearing notice. Our CPF manager will introduce it. And then I will go to the public, offering each person 3 minutes to make their comments known to the town board. Try to stick to that, as a number of people would like to be heard. I have cards, quite a few of people who want to be heard, at least 15. And then we have people at home also who are going to Zoom in to be heard. I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but the town board will be able to see them. So first we'll go through the yellow cards, then we'll go to Zoom, And that's how this will proceed. It's going to be a little bit different than normal. So I'll start with you, Sunday, if you could please read the public hearing notice.
Public hearing number 1, on the acquisition of development rights on lands of Peconic Land Trust as contract vendee, Shinnecock Hills, and amend the Community Preservation Project Plan and the CPF Management and Stewardship Plan to include the property.
All right, thank you, Sunday. All right, and I'll call upon Lisa Combrink, our CPF Program Manager, to introduce this.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, town clerk. It's really nice to be here in person after a long time. I'm Lisa Combrink, the Community Preservation Fund Program Manager, and I'm here tonight on the public hearing for the proposed acquisition of a development rights easement from the Peconic Land Trust as contract vendee for the property that is currently owned by the Napa family. It's located at 536 Montauk Highway in Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-233-1-22. The GIS department has prepared an aerial. I'll just point out the property, which is outlined in yellow. The property is 4.574 acres. It's zoned R60. It would be added to our CPF project plan if the acquisition is approved, and it would become part of the Shinnecock Hills Greenway Target Preservation Area. The property is located in a critical environmental area known as Sugarloaf Shinnecock Burial Grounds. It has been recognized, and I know you have received correspondence and other communications recognizing and advocating recognition for the property's unique cultural and archaeological significance in the town of Southampton. Under the proposed transaction, the town, through CPF, would be purchasing a development rights easement from the Peconic Land Trust, who will be buying the property or would be buying the property from the Napa family. The development rights easement would preserve the property for use as open space while also recognizing the cultural and archaeological importance of the property in the town of Southampton. And it would also provide for a pedestrian trail that would provide access to a certain portion of the property so that the public could also enjoy the property. The purchase price for the development rights easement is $5.3 million.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Combrink at this juncture? Okay, hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will go to the public. Again, 3 minutes. Try to stick to that if you can. John Halsey, you're first, and Brian, you're on deck. So,
good evening. It's a pleasure to be here in person. And so congratulations on opening up Town Hall.
it's nice to be back.
Yeah. So good evening. I am John Halsey, John V.H. Halsey, President of the Peconic Land Trust. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are meeting this evening on the ancestral land of the Shinnecock people. These people have lived here in this place for 8,000 to 10,000 years. I want to thank Supervisor Jay Schneiderman and the members of the town board for scheduling this public hearing and for your consideration of this very special acquisition. As such, I am here to support the town's purchase of a conservation easement or development rights easement from the Peconic Land Trust on the summit of Sugarloaf Hill, aka the Napa property, the most sacred land to the Shinnecock people in the Shinnecock Hills. The property is the site of ancestral burials dating back approximately 3,000 years. It is a sacred place, one that has been documented and desecrated since the 1930s. with the remains of Shinnecock ancestors and their parting gifts removed and distributed, some to renowned institutions. We, the Trust, the town, and the Shinnecock Nation have an opportunity to protect and restore this property, working together, including the possibility of reinterring remains and artifacts removed from this sacred place over the years. This is a unique opportunity to build greater trust between the town and the Shinnecock people, and the Trust is honored to play a role in making this happen. Once acquired by the Trust and protected by the town, the Trust will be responsible for the demolition of the existing structure on the property and the restoration of the property to its natural state. We will do this in collaboration with the Shinnecock Graves Protection Society and the town. We will also be considering the most appropriate way for the public to access the site once restored. This property, along with the 9.4 acres known as the Silverman property, which is adjacent, provide a wonderful opportunity to understand the history, customs, and culture of the Shinnecock people. It is our hope to work with the town to acquire, protect, and restore the Silverman property as well. But tonight, the Trust is in contract to purchase the summit of Sugarloaf Hill with a closing date of June 15th. I urge you this evening to close the public hearing so that we can conclude this acquisition by the closing date. Again, this is a moment, an opportunity to build greater trust between the Shinnecock people and the town. Let's show our gratitude and respect to the Shinnecock people by making this happen. So thanks again to Supervisor Jay Schneiderman and the board for your consideration.
John, let me just say just one thing. So during COVID, it has been our practice to leave the record open for written comments. So if we're successful in closing the hearing tonight, we would not vote on this tonight, but in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Okay, so I hope that meets your time frame with the
I do
possible
too.
closing.
I think it will. I think it
Okay,
will.
the decision could be made before your closing date, so,
Okay, that's good.
okay,
That's very important.
okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, I'd next like to recognize the chairman of the Shinnecock Tribal Council, Chairman Brian Polite. And Brian, you're followed by Randy King. Okay.
Okay, members of the town board and Supervisor Schneiderman, and also community members, supporters of Shinnecock, and my fellow Shinnecock tribal members. Come here tonight to talk in strong support of the town acquiring the conservation easement at Sugarloaf Hill. As Mr. Halsey so eloquently put, thank you so much for that recap. This property is not just property to us. It's sacred burial site that's been there for almost 3,000 years. A lot of time on Shinnecock we talk about what's called historical trauma. It's something very real, and every day we have to witness another historical trauma when we see our land being desecrated and our ancestors' bones being disturbed. I think that this town board, as I stated multiple times, has really stepped up to the plate to try to right some of those historical injustices, and I think this is a strong step forward in continuing that trend that this board has started to not only acknowledge these injustices, but also to take a firm step to try to correct it. It is so important, not just for the Shinnecocks, but for Southampton in general and the East End, to talk about land conservation and to talk about what these places mean to us, both the environmental, but just the open space, and to see nature in its full beauty. I'm so proud of my Shinnecock people and our supporters who have come out and with their songs, with their chants, and with their cry for this injustice to be corrected. And I ask you guys to, during this time, to consider this as something that, again, is not just for the Shinnecock people, but for your constituents as well, for the Southampton people and for the state of New York. So again, I want to thank you guys for the work that you've already done, what you're going to continue to do, and to help build the relationship between the Shinnecock Nation and the members of the board and the town of Southampton community members. Tabutne.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks.
All right, Randall King will be followed by Hope Sandro.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me and our people the opportunity to speak tonight on this very important matter. I'm Randy King, Vice Chairman, Shinnecock Indian Nation Council of Trustees. You led off with a moment of silence, and I think that's a collective shared experience that we all share. Solitude, a place to go to express that, I think is something we all do. And that particular parcel of land in our Aboriginal land holdings in our territory is that place of solitude based on the elevations, the customs and practices that long predated any of us here. And I think that's something we can all agree on, that we all need that safe space to reflect and to center ourselves. And I think you're heading in the right direction, and I commend you on that. And that let's all work together on these issues, and let's all find that center place that we all need to be at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Hope, you're next, followed by Kelly Dennis.
One of my favorite people. Not, I like all of you too. I'm Hope Sandro. My husband and I have lived in Shinnecock Hills for decades. We remember that house when it went up and the shock of driving in that direction and seeing this building on the sacred lands. It's very emotional to live in an area that you know was someone else's property and still has the remains and artifacts that are there. As I walk my grounds, I find things, remnants of a history, of people that are my neighbors that I'm very fond of. I'm sorry. But I see the ravages of their lives that's affected by this desecration. And we need to show our respect now, and I wish you could vote today, because there shouldn't be one more day that Becky feels that pain, and my other neighbors that are here. This needs to stop. And I really thank you so much for taking the effort to do that. But I've spent too many decades here watching the effects of what's happened. I can't explain to you what it's like to live in the center of a war zone, because that's actually what it feels like. Now, Jay and I met when we preserved with Becky, when I first met her, and Elizabeth Hale, when we were lucky to preserve 10 acres of the 13. And I'd hope, and that was 2006. It's been way too long since a group of neighbors and politicians and elected officials have come together as this opportunity presents. As John Halsey eloquently said, and Brian, you're absolutely right, this is not just about Shinnecock people. It's about the people that live in Shinnecock Hills. And we've tried very hard to be good neighbors. And I'll end with, and I've done this before, the wampum necklace that Chief Harry Wallace has a company called Wampum Magic. And these are wampum shaped to look like bear claws. And I purchased this from him because I loved what it represented. East, west, north, south. And in the middle is where we all come together. And I'm wearing this tonight to represent what I want tonight to be. And I ask that this happens as soon as possible, please. Let's bring peace to our town. We can't do it to our country. We can't bring it to the world. But we can bring it here and amongst ourselves so that we can come together and look each other in the eye and know we're showing respect to everybody that's here equally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hope. Thank you. All right, Kelly.
I'll interrupt. I'd like Kelly Kelly to be future town supervisor.
All right, so Kelly Dennis is followed by Roger Waters.
Akwe natampak, Kelly natasuas, Dennis kwa takine hado namo jmosayang tunapsag, nishishayawunk, shinnecock, nishapayawunk, shinnecock reservation natap. Thank you. Hope you're also one of my favorite people, and I'm I'm struggling to figure out my new role as a member of the Shinnecock Indian Nation Council of Trustees, and that is something I'm so prideful, and I just want to reiterate what everyone else has said, especially my fellow board members and Chairman Brian Polite and Vice Chairman Randy King. And I just want to reflect on where we are today with COVID-19, and we've spoken about the toll it's had on our entire community, and I wonder, our ancestors who are buried and were removed from this site on Sugarloaf Hill, what was that pandemic like for them in that time? I wonder if there are people who struggled with the smallpox, the outbreaks, and were buried in that area. And we want to have such reverence for the people that we have to say goodbye to in this time. We want to have that same reverence for the people who died and are buried in the Shinnecock Hills, our ancestors. And I just want to reiterate for many who might not be familiar with the site that it really is and has been documented as the most significant Indian burial site in the state of New York. And this has been done by the New York State Museum and Science Service. And that is why it's been designated a critical environmental area. It's radiocarbon dated again, and we went past 3,000 years. And the area was known to have these large burial pits in the center of that hill and to the west. And those burial pits, there's so many of them. They're individual, and they're 6 feet, and they overall just had. There's a huge database of what had happened there. And in addition to human remains that were excavated, they were also produced a number of really sacred burial items. There's pottery, there's fishing hooks, chipped stone, and other items. So I just want people to be aware that this is a documented site and it's very significant. And with everything that the town of Southampton is doing to be a model for the rest of the state that has no burial laws is very commendable, and especially during a time when maybe you could have ignored, and we were worried that you might ignore for a little bit this very important, significant, sacred site to us, and just the entirety of the Shinnecock Hills and what it means to the Shinnecock Indian people. So with that, as others have spoken, we really do implore you to vote on going forward with this resolution today if possible, and if not, as soon as possible. So, Tabutne, thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, so Roger Waters is next, followed by Kyle Solis. Salas, I guess.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Good to meet you.
I feel really honored to be here today. I am a new neighbor to this community. I've only been here for about 20 years. But standing outside on the pavement with all my friends from the Shinnecock Nation and other friends as well, I found myself deeply moved and somewhat in awe of the gravity, but also the potential for joy that is in front of me here going on today and in this room. I won't witter on because John Halsey has put it all much more eloquently than I ever could, and listening to Brian and Kelly as well. So I'll shut up in a minute, but before I do, I just want to thank you all, Julie, Rick, and Tommy, John, and John Bouvier, and you, Jay, and Jim Burke, and sorry I've missed you. Okay, because this is a momentous occasion, and I am over-emotional about it. I was very over-emotional outside, and I still feel very emotional, because I will remember this day for the rest of my life, because I think it's incredibly important to this community and to all of us who were here and who were lucky enough to be part of it. So thank you for listening to me.
Okay, so Kyle Salas, followed by Skylar Johnson. Kyle, sorry if I'm messing your last name up.
No worries. Hello, everyone. I drove over an hour away to be here today. I'm actually from the town of Amityville. And my point is just a point from the Spirit. You know, we all come from the same place. We were all made by the same Creator. If I were to cut open my hand, I would bleed the same blood as all of you. Same with the sovereign and powerful people of the Shinnecock Nation. We're all brothers and we're all sisters. And each and every one of you has a profound and a monumentous opportunity to truly do something right for the rightful heirs of the Sugarloaf Hills. This isn't just a piece of land, this is an ancestral burial ground. I drive all over the island, me and my wife, we like to drive places, and I see time and time again there are colonial graves preserved, marked as historical places. Time and time again I see this, and in Amityville there's at least 3. But there are not ancestral burial grounds that are preserved in the same way for our indigenous peoples. And we have all of you really have a monumentous opportunity to preserve and to vote in a way that restores the Sugarloaf Hills back to its rightful heirs, to preserve such a sacred place of the Spirit. And I know I'm from out of town. I know that, you know, maybe I'm really a nobody, but I do have a voice, and I'd just like to use it to stand with the people and for what I believe is right. So I come humbly before you today to ask from the core of my spirit that you honor the Shinnecock people, you honor the Shinnecock Nation with this decision, and that the Sugarloaf Hills be rightfully restored to them. And for others to enjoy as well. I think there's a great historical opportunity for the rest of people, the public of Southampton, to learn more about these wonderful people and to learn their history and to learn their side of history, because I grew up in the school where it was taught to me that Columbus was the one that discovered America. And that's not true. That's the system. That's not on any of you. But we have the chance here to really honor the truth of history, to honor the people of the land. And I know that all of you are good people. I know it. I just met you all, but I can see it in each and every one of your eyes. You're all good people. And I know you're going to do the right thing. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Skylar, you're next. Skylar Johnson, followed by Shane Weeks.
I want to thank the members of the town board for giving me this opportunity to speak. So the first thing I want to say is I actually want to ask everyone here a question. So raise your hand if you have someone, a friend or a family member or someone that you love buried in a cemetery, anywhere, just anywhere in the world. Just raise your hand right now. Now, only keep your, no, put your hands back up, sorry. Only keep your hands up now if you would be okay with someone knocking down their grave markers and building something on top of it. That's what we've done. That's as simple as this is. I can guarantee you that if I went anywhere in the world and said, hey, just to let you know, I think this would be a really nice place to live, so I'm going to tear down your ancestors' graves and put a mansion on top of it, I can guarantee you that we would be met with public fury. There would be media here. It would be a storm. I'm picturing Fox and CNN outside talking about how outrageous this is, that we are even considering this motion. But yet that's what's been done. And then we come out here and we have to ask that it be undone, that we make a slight change to just honor the people that live here. Now, this is just one step. This is a very, very tiny thing that the town board can do to really make some reparations to the Shinnecock Nation, and it's not enough. In our schools, the history of the Shinnecock Nation, the history of Native Americans, has been boiled down to a costume. It's been boiled down to something that's worn on Halloween. It's been boiled down to something that is treated as a blimp in our history as opposed to our entire roots, and it's devastating. We cannot fix this we cannot fix this by you voting to return this property. We cannot fix this with this one action, but it is something that we can do. The last time I was in these halls was right before COVID-19 shut everything down, and the last time I was in these halls was to testify for you to buy a property. And now I'm doing it again, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time that I'm doing this. We need to stop living in this perpetual Groundhog Day, because it is not fair to the members of the Shinnecock Nation, to the members of all Native tribes who we are constantly re-traumatizing by reminding them that they are not equal members. You're sitting right now under the Great Seal of the Shinnecock Nation, but they are not represented in the same way that everyone else is, and that is not fair. It is time that we make a change, because as long as we do this, there will be no liberty and justice in these halls. So I really appreciate that you're having this hearing, and I really hope that you're going to do the right thing and vote to return this property. The last thing I want to say, we're facing a climate crisis. There's a good chance that this entire town will be underwater one day. If you want a tiny bit of a chance of fixing that, if you want a tiny bit of a chance of actually keeping the entire town of Southampton from flooding, return the property to the Shinnecock, because they will honor the land in the way that it needs to be honored.
30
So again,
seconds.
I thank you for having that. I thank you for having this meeting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you vote to do the right thing.
Okay, so Shane, you're up next, and followed by Cobell, I think is the last name. Amon? Cobell, maybe? You know who you are, right? Okay. Shane?
Kwena Tampak, Bijikina Bawad and Dasuis, Bijikin Doram, a Senakog Nuichemidew Matawak Ninu. Hello, my name is Standing Buffalo. My given name is Shane Weeks, but Bijikini Boat is who I am. I come to you today speaking as the co-chairman of the Graves Protection Warrior Society of Shinnecock. I am also a member of the Town of Southampton and Shinnecock Nation Joint Stewardship Committee, as well as the Southampton Town Arts and Culture Committee, founded by Hope Sandra. And I want to just give a little history today of what Sugarloaf means to us and what it is. Just 2 years ago, we had over 100 remains that were dug up by grave robbers, archaeologists over the last 100 or so years that were sent off to private collections, museums, places like that, and put on display. And they were returned to us 2 years ago for us to rebury back to where they came from. And it took one full day we started at sunrise all the way to sunset to redress our ancestors and rebury and to prepare them for reburial. As close to where they came from as possible. Since then, we received several dozen others from another museum, and we reburied those in this past December. Currently, we're working on another several dozen from a museum in the city that came specifically from the Shinnecock Hills area, and were put on display out there, held in their collections for almost 100 years now. And Shinnecock Hills and Sugarloaf, we use that as our burial ground all the way into the colonial period. And I can trace my ancestry back to that time. I know those people's names. Our last wigwams that we lived in the mid-1800s, the 1860s, were right on the other side of Shinnecock Hills, over where Rumbas is now, in Cormorant Point. That's where our last wigwams and weetus were. And until we were forced out of that area in the Shinnecock Hills in 1859 by the railroad. And so I think for us, knowing that history and understanding what our ancestors had to go through, 1850 wasn't that long ago, you know. It was people, we knew those people. There are elders here that grew up with those people as their elders. And so that trickles down to us as the new and upcoming generation. And I think that our 10,000 years or so of history here should mean something in this town of Southampton. I'd like to read this proclamation that we put out as the Grace Protection Warrior Society. For more than 10,000 years, our ancestors as the indigenous people of Long Island have maintained a unique and sacred connection to this land and the surrounding waters. Though there are many sites on Long Island that are quite significant, Sugarloaf Hill is particularly special to the Shinnecock people. The peak of the hill and all the surrounding area has historically been a place where we would lay our loved ones to rest, returning them back to the earth. We have an inherent responsibility to protect them and the lands that provide for us. Though the majority of our sacred sites have been desecrated through the centuries, we must continue to speak up for these sacred places. We must stand up for our responsibilities to protect and restore what is left. In doing so, we aim to purchase, preserve, reclaim, and protect Sugarloaf Hill and assure an everlasting peace for our ancestors buried in those lands. We hope that our neighbors can understand and respect our traditions, our way of life. We ask and hope that our neighbors will acknowledge a moral responsibility to work together in protecting a small yet vital part of our ancient burial grounds, known in its entirety as the Shinnecock Hills. When achieved, this action can help forge a better future for the next generations through a healthy and meaningful understanding of the diversity of what we all now call home. And I'd like to thank all of you, the council, Jay, and all of our supporters here today. And John Halsey and the Peconic Land Trust, special thank you to you guys as well. Thank you to Bootner.
Thank you, Stan. All right, you're going to have to help me with your first name, but Cobell seems to be the last, and then Tila Troge is next.
The name is Eamon Coble.
Eamon.
Good evening. Today I speak as an individual, but I'm here to show my full support for the purchase of the Sugarloaf Hills burial site and its preservation by the CPF. As a settler and a resident on the ancestral lands of the Shinnecock of Ketchiaponic, also known as West Hampton, my home was approved for CPF funding in its preservation, known as the Topping Rayner House, to which we have begun the efforts of restoring it to its historical originality. There is no reason that the Sugarloaf Hills should not be bought, preserved, and protected, being a 3,000-year-old burial ground, one of many that has been developed upon and desecrated. If my house can be protected, so should their land. As a settler, I speak to you, council members and Mr. Supervisor, from settler to settler, their history is our history, and in order to heal the wound, you have to stop the bleeding. And it is really just a very emotional thing when I speak about this, because my property that I have my property, and there's a property next to my property that has been developed, and the woman that used to live there was one of the first women to get a New York fishing license. And she would find arrowheads and pottery and all these artifacts that she kept. I don't know where they are. They tore down the house, but they lived on this land for thousands and thousands of years. And the discrimination and the horrible things that have been done to not only the Shinnecock, but the Montaukets, the Setaukuts, the Unkachog, all of the 13 tribes on Long Island, needs to be healed, and we need to reconcile for that in order to make peace with our land and make peace between the Shinnecocks and the settlers here. So I thank you.
Thank you. All right, Tila, you're next, followed by Heidi Rain. Heidi, you're on deck.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Tila Troge, and I am an attorney for the Shinnecock Nation, as well as for the Shinnecock Grace Protection Warrior Society. And the Shinnecock Graves Protection Warrior Society is co-chaired by Mr. Shane Weeks, who we heard from earlier, as well as Ms. Rebecca Genia. And I just want to set the record straight with the town board once and for all. I think we've all seen Conscious Point. But Ms. Rebecca Genia was granted the authority to act in the full official capacity in all matters regarding sacred burial sites and human remains by the Shinnecock Nation through resolution by the Shinnecock Nation Council of Trustees dated 12/18/2018. So if you ever get a call from her, it's important, and she has fully vested authority to engage in those matters. And in regards to Sugarloaf, Shinnecock Graves Protection Warrior Society has a fully vested interest in this site as a 3,000-year-old burial site. And I just want to go over the history because I'm not sure that it's clear. But when our ancestors first met your ancestors in 1640, in the winter of 1640, we were in our inland winter camp. And you can see that area on this map here. The red area, it's the Shinnecock Indian First Contact Fort. And so that's where we were located. And right directly adjacent to it is Sugarloaf Hill. This is a 3,000-year-old sacred burial site. And we recognize that the town board has already taken very important steps in preserving this land. Recently, you guys passed the Graves Protection legislation, as well as the associated building moratorium over this entire critical environmental area, which again is the contact period fort and the burial area. And we really appreciate your willingness to work together with the Peconic Land Trust to complete this historic acquisition, because acquiring Sugarloaf is historic. This is an important moment for your community and for our community. But we need you to do a little bit more. We need you to prioritize the CPF funds to acquire as much of this land as possible. We're just talking about right now just a small parcel of Sugarloaf. We need to work as hard as we can and as quickly as we can to preserve as much of this land. I recently heard that there was a report out that the population growth in Shinnecock Hills is about 38% post-COVID-19. And that's far higher than any other area in the town of Southampton. If we don't work quickly, we're going to see the last vacant parcels in this entire area be developed. Like, there are developers out there already planning for the end of the building moratorium. We have work to do on the Graves legislation to make it meaningful, to make it impactful, and to make sure that we're not, issuing a swimming pool here and there, because it's not okay. This is a sacred 3,000-year-old burial ground. We're not going to have any more homes there. We're not going to have any more swimming pools there. We're not going to have any more tennis courts. If you guys want a pool or a tennis court, please build one together for your community. We don't all need one. It's wrong what's happening. And I'm really emotional about this, so I'm sorry. I do want to thank you for everything that you're doing, because I know that you have taken to heart everything that all of these speakers have said. This is the right thing to do. We're correcting a historic injustice. This restorative work is going to be healing to our entire community. We all need to do this work together, and I really want to commend the town board for taking the lead in this. I want to thank Supervisor Jay Schneiderman for recognizing the importance of this, and I really ask that, I know this is the first town board meeting that we're having back in person, so I know that you had those rules for the Zoom meetings about keeping the record open for 2 weeks, but maybe we can make an exception because this is so vitally important. I haven't heard one negative comment. I don't think there's any opposition to this. I think you've received a lot of comments, calls, and certainly a lot of testimony today. I know we have some more on Zoom, so if there's any type of procedural way that you can vote today, I think that the entire community would stand behind you in doing that. So thank you.
Heidi, you're next, and Anna or Mersa. there's a middle name there too, Olan Amersa. It's hard to read sometimes, but
Hello, my name is Heidi Rain, and it has been my honor over the past several years to become an ally for the Shinnecock, and I also was privileged to work with many people on this board and other people in terms of the graveside protection and in terms of allowing us to all work together, which I think has been a key, a core of what the Shinnecock people are about. There was at one point, people said, well, you know, you want to buy this property. No, we want to work together to get this land back, which is global. We can say it's just Southampton, but Southampton's the beginning. Let us be the beginning. This is a wonderful beginning. This is such a terrific use of the Shinnecock principles of working with people and of preserving the land and of honoring each other. I think I can't really add anything to the wonderful voices that have spoken tonight and to John's wonderful plea to let's trust each other. Let's trust that we all want to have healthy grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We want them to have land. We want them to have peace. We want them to have honor for each other. And I commend everybody here for this, and I thank you that I'm a part of it. Thank you.
thank you, Heidi. Okay, Anna is next, and Anna is followed by, this is one of the hardest parts of this job, is just reading people's handwriting. Isidor? Got it? Close enough? Isidor, okay, perfect.
Gauran. Here it's an oya meshada, or ana. Ilodorak Aquitanian Tarbeli Nais. Arbashuak Ibaran eta itshashuaren etoriko dira. Ero Zaharoa Arbashuak hat, just like the one up in your seal there. My name is Ana Oya Mesha. I'm speaking the language of my ancestors, who are from Southwest France. But they arrived on Long Island back in the 1600s, wearing the clothes of the person in your seal on a ship also in your seal. Shinnecock Koreada. This is Shinnecock Nation we're on. Shinnecock Arbashoak Dira. These are our Shinnecock relatives, and we're on their land. Now, all the speakers that have come before me are much more eloquent, and they've laid out all the super important reasons, all of the compelling reasons why you should act to get these development rights bought, and why you should work in partnership with the nation to make sure that not only this parcel, but parcels into the future are purchased and taken out of development. I worked many years in land conservation with a state prior to my work now. So I understand this. I understand the system. But that's not why I'm here, because I'm here representing who my ancestors wanted me to be thousands of years ago when they prayed about the future. They prayed for me to wear their hat, not the one that is depicted in your seal. And I guess that's my question for you tonight, is I bet every one of you at some point in your life has gone to the graves of your ancestors. Even if it was a recent ancestor, maybe your mom or your dad or your grandparents, maybe cousins, uncles. I bet all of you have gone, right? You've driven there. Maybe you've taken other parts of your family with you. And it's been a very sacred moment. It's been a sacred act that you've participated in because you're going there to commune with your ancestors.
We can't hear you. Yeah.
We can hear you, but on TV they can't hear you.
You're going there to commune with your ancestors, and it's a sacred act. Well, the Shinnecock on their land have been doing that for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Now when you look at the map, there's mansions and roads and all the things that block them and that have interrupted that process. Because people, like from our place, did not wear this hat, but they wore that one. Well, I'm trying to live the prayers of my ancestors just like the Shinnecock people here are living the prayers of theirs. And I ask you tonight, not just for this parcel, but for the parcels to come, to be the prayers that your ancestors had for you many, many years ago. Shker.
Thank you.
All right, so Zeder is next, and Iranian is follow. Oh. You're together. You're going to have to help me with the right pronunciation.
Garon, nire isene eseder, shorgenda, iladorak nais. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for allowing me this time to speak. My name's Ezadair Shorgenda. I am also speaking the language of my ancestors who came from southwest France, the Aquitanian peoples. I was born and grew up in the town of Huntington, and I live there again now with my family, my wife, and my son. And I want to tell you why it's important for me that y'all make a decision to prioritize purchasing and protecting the Sugarloaf Hill parcel as soon as possible. So your actions are representing more than just the town of Southampton, right? We're all a part of a collective story of settlers in relationship with the Shinnecock people whose land we're on. And you have an opportunity to do something right after so many hundreds of years of injustices continuing to this day. You have an opportunity to impact all of our relationships in a good way and to create healing for our children and for our grandchildren so that they can live in a way that is respectful with each other and they can have harmonious relationships together with the Shinnecock people whose land we're on and with the land as well. I also want to speak for the importance of protecting tradition and culture for our future generations. If we don't prioritize acting now to protect sacred sites and to protect land, our future generations are not going to have anywhere to turn to know their roots. They're not going to be able to have everything they need to live as cultural and spiritual beings. They can't be nourished as spiritual beings by what capitalism or Western civilization provides for them. And so I really, really want to ask you to listen to what Tila said. Listen to everything that Tila said. Because when Shinnecock people say that something is important for the spiritual health of people and land here, we need to listen to them. When Indigenous people say we need to protect land, we need to do this because it is going to impact all of our spiritual well-being now and into the future for generations. So we all have a really beautiful opportunity to do one small step, as many have said, and I hope we'll continue this to be a good pattern moving forwards to break the patterns of injustice that we've created in the past. So again, I thank y'all for the opportunity to speak, and coming from a little bit far away, I'm grateful for the chance to be heard. Ishgeri Gashko. Pick you up.
Does she want to say something?
Yes,
It's okay.
My name is Iran. The Shinnecock people must be listened to.
right. We're learning about history and we're seeing the future as well. I have one more card, and then we're going to go to those who are Zooming in. So Josephine Smith, are you here, Josephine?
Akwe, Josephine da Suisse, Commission, Mission, Shinnecock Nidoche. My name is Josephine Smith. I came here not in the official capacity that I work for our nation as the Cultural Resources Director. I come here as an ancestor, as a descendant, and an ancestor because I have grandchildren. So one day I will be. I come here to say thank you to the members of my nation who are fighting for these hills. I work as the Cultural Resources Director. I teach our children through the Indian Education Program. I've taught them. I've worked with our youth. I work with our elders. I listen to the stories. I'm blessed to go back generation, and naming. I could stand here and say who my mother is, who my grandmother is, who my grandfather is, who both of my grandparents on my mother's side, and on back, as our other Shinnecock relatives sitting here. We were told, go and get the hills back. We've been told the history. We have read of the history. We have seen the documents from your history that talk about how Shinnecock Hills was taken. It was all about, like someone said before, about capitalism. When the railroad came through, the town proprietors wanted that land. Southampton, Shinnecock, the art village, was becoming that place, that resort area for people to come and be their playground. I spoke here, I think, a few years ago. But I come again to say that it hurts us. I've been to Sugarloaf when we could access it before. I've prayed up at Sugarloaf. I've looked out over the water and prayed and seen the sites that our ancestors went to when they would go and wait for the whales to come ashore for our people to go and to feed our people for the winter when those whales would come in. We've heard the stories of Padawa, of the whale ceremonies. We've heard the stories from people of my generation who heard from the elders that they went to with their families, who told about the whales coming in over in Quogue. This isn't just about Sugarloaf Hills and our burial ground. This is about all of what you call the town of Southampton now. This isn't just about land conservation. Sometimes I see things of land conservation and preservation, and it's just keeping that land just so it stays in its natural state, which is a good thing in some ways. But if you know our history, as Tila started to say before, our people went to the hills. We didn't always stay right at the shoreline. Yes, we are the people of the shore. Shinnecock, Ok, the land. Shinny, the stone, the stony place. People of the stony place. And where's that? The shore. But we lived in the hills also. As Shane spoke about Comrade, our elders told us about things they found when they worked for the highway department over by Comrade Point, the Ship Beach. That's all different areas where our people have been. Hope and I had a conversation years ago. She talked about, what could be done to help. We talked about the taxes. Don't give the taxes to the town, give the taxes to Shinnecock. We talked about how the land that we need that place to go to. When you talk about climate change, you see on the map here, that narrow area, that flat area where we live. We need the land not just preserved in its natural state, we need that state so that we can go and live in the hills when there is a storm. You know, the court cases for a land case, they said, oh, it's too late. Oh, you didn't try to do anything before, but we did. The documents show that our people went and tried to save our lands and get our lands back after 1859. Where are the record books? The records got lost. I don't know if they have been found again, but what happened to those town records that had those land transactions, those illegal land transactions, because nothing was ratified as it was supposed to, according to the state rules and the federal rules. They told us to get our hills back because we need to live in the hills also. That is where our ancestors are at. That is where our people lived. That is where our weetus were at, our wigwams were at. That is where we can go and gather. We should be able to go and gather and hunt where we won't be disturbing anyone else. It's, you know, we're not going to go hunt next to someone's home. We're not trying to displace people who are there, but we're asking for all lands to be returned to the Shinnecock Nation so that this area we've been pushed onto, that we're not all crowded upon one another, that we're able to have that open area. We can't take our children and go hunting like they used to. Our waters are polluted because of so many homes around us, because they want nice lawns and all. We need our hills returned to us, our burial grounds, our gathering sites, our hunting areas, where we can go and pick the medicines and the foods that are there so we can be a healthy people again, so we are not having to go to the doctors all the time because we're eating foods that were unnatural to us or that are now more convenient for us and that are filled with hormones and preservatives and everything, that we can't afford to go and get the organic foods because it costs so much. We need to be able to go and pick our berries. We need to be able to go and gather all of the plants and the nettles and all the roots that we need. We need to be able to go down to Sagaponack. Sagaponack was the place of the groundnuts grow. We should be able to still travel our lands throughout Long Island, and especially within this town. And we need to be able to go there for our health, for our future, for the future of our children. I say, all my relations, I thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. So bear with us while we figure this out technologically. I see we have two speakers queued up, and the woman screen left for me, I think, was first. And how the clerk is going to need to know the name and address, and I not the address, but the name, first name, last name.
First and last name.
You want to open that door so we can hear Charlie?
Yeah, I don't know if you still. She can speak. She can.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, I can barely hear you, so.
Let's put a microphone on. Do it.
Take Jim's microphone.
Give us a moment to figure out how we can make it louder. Charlie, can you turn the volume up on that? Okay, you can speak.
Hello?
Ah, much better.
Great.
Thank you, Charles.
If you could start by identifying yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Counts. I'm the Preservation Director at Preservation Long Island. We're a regional not-for-profit that advocates for historic preservation throughout our Long Island region. And we're headquartered at 161 Main Street in Cold Spring Harbor, New York. And I am so thrilled to be able to speak today in support of this wonderful acquisition of development rights using the town's CPF tax revenue monies. We join everyone who spoke today, who will speak today, and of course the Shinnecock Indian Nation and our colleagues at Peconic Land Trust. And I know the New York State Museum recently submitted a letter of support describing some of the really important sacred aspects of this site. So I just want to join my voice, our voice on behalf of Preservation Long Island in supporting this, and congratulating the town in considering this really tremendous opportunity to protect one of the most important Shinnecock sites, one of the most important sites in New York State, frankly. So thank you so much, and we 100%, 110% support this, and we hope to see more acquisitions like this. As the folks have been saying today, there's so much more work to do, and we hope this is the start of a wonderful beginning of the use of the CPF to protect these tremendously important resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Georgette, you're next.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm just hoping that my technology cooperates with me. My name is Dr. Georgette Greer-Key. I'm the Executive Director of Eastville Community Historical Society in Sag Harbor, New York, and I'm also the organizer for the Paris Concert Action Committee. And I'm here this evening to lend my support in unity and peace with adoration and love for the Shinnecock Nation and the survival of its people. And I urge the town to continue to its good work and the return of the sacred ancestral land of Sugarloaf Hill to the Shinnecock Nation. Please authorize the Community Preservation Fund to purchase the conservation easement for the land trust, Peconic Land Trust, to reverse this age-old damage that has been done. We know that this is an important sacred ancestral land that deserves this honor, and continue to push forward with making sure that we work together in unity and peace to make sure that we continue to come together to collectively as a community. And that is my hope, that we continue to push forward in preservation of this special land and move forward and do much more. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there more speakers coming through via Zoom?
I think that's it.
Okay. Is there anyone who has not spoken, who wishes to be heard, who didn't fill out a card, who's in the audience?
I have one more on Zoom.
Oh, we have one more on Zoom. Anton Borovina is speaking on this issue?
Just to put a video on. Put your video on.
I know Anton. Anton, are you intending to speak on this hearing on the preservation of land in Shinnecock Hills? Okay. Okay. Good to see you. But we're in the middle of a public hearing, so we're going to send you back and we'll bring you in later, all right? At public portion, I suspect, or at the other hearing. Are you here for the other hearing or for public portion? Well, we'll find out. Okay, we'll find out. Okay, anyone who wanted to be heard didn't fill out a card? Okay, so let me try to explain. I know that everybody wants it to happen right now, and we don't even have a resolution drafted to approve this. The plan is to approve it on, I think it's June 8th. It's two weeks from today. It's plenty of time to make the closing happen on the date it's going to close. It's not going to create any delays in when this happens. It is still a pandemic. There are people who are uncomfortable coming to meetings like this. There may be some people who lack the technology, the computers to Zoom in. And so we want to make sure everything is done exactly correctly, and we've given the public the full opportunity to weigh in on this. We haven't heard any negatives. Nobody has spoken against this. That's quite positive. I had the opportunity today to go to this property. It was my first time. I went with Tila. To those of you who are Shinnecock who've never had the opportunity to go to this place where your ancestors are buried, I don't know what to say. It's an extraordinary place. It's hard not to be moved when you're there, to not feel a sense of something very spiritual, mystical. I understand why that site was chosen. If I weren't able to go to the place where my mother's buried, and I haven't gone in a long time, so sorry, Mom. But if you've never been able to be there, that's really a crime. So I hope that we are able to return this so that you can go. But we do have to leave the record open, and so what I'd like to do is close the hearing portion of it. So there'll be no more oral testimony. But we'll allow written comment to come in with a deadline of, I guess, noon on Tuesday. So, because we have a 1 o'clock meeting.
June 8th.
So 1 o'clock on June 8th, and then you're welcome to come back if you want to witness what I think is a historic moment. You can watch it via Zoom, or you can be in the audience or be out in front, whatever you prefer. And I do anticipate a vote on June 8th. Okay? So. All right, so I'm making a motion to close the public hearing, but leave the record open till 1 p.m. on June 8th.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. There really is no more testimony. Did you?
No, I was asking the question. Is where the public testimony should be sent to you?
Oh, where to send written comment?
Clerk, yep.
Sunday, would you
Yes.
just?
You can email town clerk at southamptontowny.gov. You can submit by email. I'm sure that's easier than mail. But you're certainly welcome to mail something in as well to 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, New York, 11968. Attention, town clerk.
You can hand deliver it too if her office is right below this.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay? All right. So there's a motion and a second to close the oral part of the hearing and leave the written record open for 2 weeks, 1 p.m., Tuesday, June 8th.
Well, you said at noon.
Oh, I'm sorry, noon.
Yes.
Sorry, noon. Thank you for that. Because we're voting at 1.
Yes.
All right, noon. Thank you. So that's the motion and the second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, so you guys can quietly exit or stick around if you have nothing better to do. You can watch the rest of our meeting.
Or stay, you don't have to get up.
All right, so board, we're going to continue. And we have a second public hearing. Madam Clerk, I'll ask you to read the public hearing notice.
Okay, public hearing number 2 to amend Town Code, Chapter 111, entitled Beaches, Parks, and Waterways in connection with parking permit requirements at Foster Memorial Beach, W. Scott Cameron Beach, Sag Main Beach, and Mecox Beach.
Okay. Was the Senate session longer?
Yeah, I guess we're going to do it on Thursday, Kevin, so we haven't done it.
Should we do both? Should we just do both on Thursday? Or do one and then the other?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Madam Clerk just read the hearing notice for the second public hearing, and Deputy Town Attorney Christine Scalera will be introducing this.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. This is a hearing to amend Chapter 111 entitled Beaches, Parks, and Waterways in connection with, there was a disparity for residents that were living within the village of Sag Harbor but were town of East Hampton residents, and we wanted to give them parity with residents of Southampton town that were also living in Sag Harbor Village. So this would allow the additional 2 or 3 beaches. I think it's 2 to what we had, so it'll be a 4 total. W. Scott Cameron Beach, Sag Main Beach, and Mecox Beach to be added to Foster's Beach so that those residents can buy a Town of Southampton resident parking permit for the fee that Town of Southampton residents pay. So that will do this by this amendment to this local law. You will then have a resolution of adoption that comes later in the packet on page 20. And you also have an inter-municipal agreement with the Village of Sag Harbor in exchange for being able to use that Town of Southampton parking permit rate. They will be paying a yearly fee of $10,000, and the inter-municipal agreement gives you the ability to modify that upwards in later years should you decide to do that.
Thank you. Let me just add to that a little bit. So Foster Memorial Beach is actually more commonly known as Long Beach in Sag Harbor. That property was given to the town, but there was a condition that every resident of Sag Harbor can go to that beach. And Sag Harbor is divided between the town of Southampton and the town of East Hampton. And so for many years, for the same price that town residents pay, $40 to park at all the beaches, East Hampton residents of Sag Harbor were paying that $40 and getting to park at all the beaches that are frankly maintained by property taxes in the town of Southampton. It was going well beyond the provision of just providing a pass to go to Long Beach. So we changed it and we said they can pay $40 to go to Long Beach. The problem then arose that a lot of the folks on the East Hampton side have their kids go to school with the kids on the Southampton side. Their primary ocean beach is Sag Main Beach, but sometimes they go to some of the other beaches sort of close to the East Hampton border. And I said, look, we can't, I said, the mayor called me, I said, we can't provide it free. The same services that Southampton taxpayers are paying for, and there has to be some compensation. We can't give it away. And so we negotiated a price of $10,000 and created these other beaches. Originally it was just going to be Sag Main Beach. There was some concern that it would put too many people at Sag Main Beach, and that if we spread it out a little bit, it actually would be beneficial for us. And so we included 2 other ocean beaches, basically the 3 easternmost town ocean beaches. So that's sort of the history behind this. We've talked about this as a board. I don't know if Tommy John, if you want to add anything to that, but this would finish that deal and allow us to collect the $10,000 and to issue those permits for $40. If you're in East Hampton, Sag Harbor side, you can park at those 4 beaches. Okay?
Originally, the agreement was for Sag-Main Beach, so I appreciate that the board extended this agreement to include Mecox as well as Scott Cameron Beach, because a lot of families in and around the area of Sag Harbor use those beaches. The kids play together and stuff, you know. So culturally, they've been going there for generations. So I'm glad to see that we have this in place for the folks in Sag Harbor, because it really is one community that's divided by two towns.
Okay. All right, thank you. So I don't have any yellow cards. Nobody's indicated they want to be heard. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to be heard at this hearing? Not public portion, this hearing. All right, I do see Mayor Mulcahy on Zoom. Hi, Kathleen, nice to see you. Have we unmuted you? Apparently not.
Nope, how about now?
We can hear you now. Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for considering this. This really means a tremendous amount to the families who live on the East Hampton side. As from growing up, with my children growing up and always wanting to go to Sag-Main because that's where their friends were, it's really important that these kids can stay together. And there are so many people who live on the East Hampton side who have gone to, whether it's Sag-Main or Mecox or Scott Cameron, for their entire lives. That's their family beach. And the non-resident price tag was a really high hurdle. So I really, truly appreciate you taking the time to consider it and taking the time to put it up. And I hope that we can make this all happen. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else?
No one else.
Okay. I am going to, do we have an authorizing resolution on this one?
You do.
We do.
Page 20, yes.
Yeah, this is also somewhat time sensitive and.
Correct. And I believe that the mayor of Sag Harbor is going to bring this to her board tomorrow, so there's also an authorizing resolution so that you can sign the IMA.
Okay, so this is in our packet, so let me make a motion to close the public hearing entirely.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to public portion.
Thanks, Christine.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Thank you, Christine. All right, Jason Castle? Are you, okay. So public portion, you can speak on any matter. All I ask is that you just identify yourself formally for our records and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Absolutely.
I want to adjust the microphone a little bit there.
I'm a bit out of practice with COVID, so.
We all are.
Good to see you.
Good to be here, thank you. My name is Jason Castle, and first and foremost, because I'd be remiss if I didn't on the ride home, I'm fortunate enough to have been introduced to your community by a daughter of Southampton, as well as of the Shinnecock Nation, and hopefully one day my wife. So, no proposals here.
Does she know that?
No proposals.
Clerk is ready.
Because we can marry.
Just let me know.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
All on camera.
Pressure.
And this is being recorded.
Right?
Is that a proposal?
Go on.
No, I come before you tonight, first and foremost, as a veteran. So I want to thank you all for what it is that you've done in your town, and that is, to have veteran and active duty parking in so many different areas. I'm a veteran of the United States Marine Corps of the Iraq and Afghanistan War, and to go somewhere and to just have that slight sense of acknowledgement and thank you, it goes a very long way. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you for your service.
Absolutely, it was my pleasure. I stand before you tonight as not as a lawyer, which is my given trade, but hopefully as a public servant to your community, and most importantly as a father. Your clerk's office has been amazing, and I am a new business owner in your community. I'm endowed with the great privilege of hopefully bringing back some degree of normalcy over the summer in operation of the Tiana Beach concession stand. And you know, we've all been clamoring to get out and to mix and mingle. It's good to stand before you without a mask after 2 shots and a couple of numb arms. But I'm honored to have the privilege, if the resolution passes this evening. And I want to thank Councilman Martell. I believe you were the liaison to the Parks and Recreation Division. So thank you so much for walking it in and sponsoring the resolution. The aims and goals that we have this year, really for me as a father, are first and foremost to show my 3 children from my previous marriage what an honest day's work and an honest day's labor looks like. No Instagram, you know, no Facebook, no social media of any kind. They're going to learn how to, you know, do what it is that we endeavor to do, and that is to import barbecue from Texas to your wonderful beach, and in single serve and in safe packaging, be able to serve a little bit of barbecue and a little bit of Texas right here on Long Island. The other thing that we're endeavoring to do is to hopefully hire some of the local kids who want to work for the town, bring that sense of normalcy back as well. But lastly, really, we just want to help serve the community, right? I understand that last summer was very difficult on the beach. A lot of people wanted to get out, but a lot of people were scared to get out. So whatever small part we can do to bring normalcy back to your community, and this really interwoven tapestry of culture, we will do. And the invitation is extended to all of you to join us at the Sandcastle Cafe this summer. On the weekends, we will have barbecue, but during the course of the week, hopefully we'll be able to showcase a lot of the local eateries and local treasures, and allow folks who are away from the shores to be able to showcase some of their food through the Sandcastle Cafe. So I thank you very much for what it is that you've done for your town. Thank you for honoring your veterans. What you all are doing here is really, you may not know it, but you're really leading the nation in doing this, because it needs to be done in so many other places. And with that, just thank you for having me.
Before you sit down,
Sure.
I want to thank you for your service as well. We're honored to have you here.
Honored to be here.
I wish you didn't mention Texas barbecue, because I haven't eaten in hours. And you've made me really hungry. So we wish you the best of luck there.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be there.
All right.
We'll be there. I'll be
And
there.
we'll try it. And
All right.
I'm sure it's delicious.
All right. Well, I can tell you, you know, the absolute date that it will be there is the first weekend that you are open 100% on the beach, and that's July. I believe that's July 4th. Trying feverishly to get it here in June to give some, you know, some early sneak peeks, but definitely for the July 4th weekend and thereafter.
And when you're ready, we have a clerk right here who can marry you anytime.
Licenses, wedding.
Whatever you need.
Listen,
Whatever you need.
I've
She'll even
already,
go out to Tiana Beach.
Yes.
I'm tongue-tied now, so I'm just going to stop while I'm ahead. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. But thank you so very much.
Good luck to you.
Ask the bride first.
And I am expecting an invite to the wedding, so.
Lunch first.
Might be a whole council meeting. You never know.
You got it.
All right. So we have anyone else for public portion? Charles, do we have Anton? Or is he just hanging out?
He's watching the meeting.
Yeah, for a minute he did.
There he is. Anton, are you here for public portion?
Well, Mr. Supervisor, I'm here really with respect to the resolution that's being considered by the board for lead agency status on the affordable housing project.
Do you know what resolution number that is?
It's the last, I believe it's the last one on the board's agenda.
All right. Hey, Jason, you might want to stick around, because I'll take yours out of order, so you'll know if it's going to pass, so stick around. And
566.
so, and then 39 is, okay. And Anton, we'll take it out of order as well. So
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
you're here to speak in support of it?
Well, I'm sorry, well, no, I'm here, obviously, the town board is entertaining this resolution to determine lead agency status, which I do not oppose. I do not oppose. I just had, if it's appropriate to have I have certain questions regarding the secret process. I understand, Mr. Supervisor, that within X number of days, the board will be determining whether or not to give a declaration, a negative or positive declaration. Is that fair to say?
Jim? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Not tonight.
Okay, and on a going forward basis then, comments related to secret would be directed to the town board as lead agency. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, we're just accepting lead agency status tonight, Anton, you're right. So then, not making a determination.
Yeah, we're not making a secret determination tonight, only
Yeah, that'll be it.
designating ourselves as lead agency.
Right.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to confirm, that you're just designating yourself as lead agency. I have no further comment.
Right. We'll have public hearings and all that before we, any final determination on the situation is done. So any adoption.
All right?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
No problem. Okay. Charles, anyone else Charles, do you have anyone else on Zoom?
No other hands.
All right, I'll make a motion to close public portion.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so let's get to Jason's resolution. Which one is that?
Do we bring on the walk-ons yet?
We brought it on, so it's in the walk-on, so, all right, so I'll make a motion to take 36669 out of order.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. It is being offered by Councilman Martell. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and now it's eligible for a vote. You want to make?
Town Board Resolution 36669, resolution authorizing the Parks Director to enter into an interim agreements for food concessions pursuant to Town Code Chapter 111-7B2 for 2021 summer season at Tiana Beach.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, who would like to be invited to the wedding.
And you know how I'm voting.
All right. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Good luck.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Get cooking.
Look forward to it.
Be down there tomorrow.
All right. And now let's take care. Anton left, right?
He's gone.
Do we need to take the other one out of
No.
order?
No, I
Now
don't
let's
think
go.
he wasn't waiting for that. He's gone.
He's gone. All right. So, all right. He just wanted that clarification.
Yep.
Okay. So we are now at the top of the agenda of resolution. So we're going to start with 529 of 2021. This will authorize the purchase of ammunition from New York State OGS contract with Eagle Point Gun, TJ Morris and Son. Hold on a second. Ryan, is there anything here that you're waiting for?
No.
You're just hanging out? We're not going to do a COVID update tonight. So,
You two are
unless
kind
it's
of
something
close together.
unless it's something you feel compelled to tell us. And Lisa, do you?
Lisa appreciates my
He's
mom.
gonna hang for the
Happy anniversary.
Lisa, you're going to hang in there for the CPF resolutions, or?
Yeah, and also the land swap one, just stay for that.
Okay, well, all right, let's just do this resolution. Ryan, you can sneak out. So, all right, so I made a motion, is there a second?
Second.
I think Julie was the second earlier. All right, I'll take the second from Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, hold on now. Lisa, you are here for the home rule message. Jim, what's the latest on the home rule message?
We are, the home rule passed the Assembly, but not the Senate yet, so but it was recommended that we send a home rule on the Assembly legislation and tonight, and we'll follow up hopefully with the Senate on Thursday. We're going to have a special meeting.
All right, but the bill does both simultaneously, so we'll have to amend the bill to just...
Excuse me, Mr.
We did.
Supervisor?
We
The
did.
town attorney's
Kathleen
office
prepared
did, and I
a-
just
That's what you
passed
got.
down
Yeah.
the substitute
Kathleen
resolution
prepared a
for
amended
your
resolution
walk-on.
just to make reference to the Assembly bill.
All right, so Lisa, you're here for that, and what else are you here for?
The acceptance of the resignation of Adlin.
Okay, and that's it, just those two? Not Balkheimer or any of the CPF acquisitions? Okay, so, all right. So let's do this, so that Lisa can go home to her family. Let's take those two out of order. Let's start with Adlin's resolution.
What page?
What's the number?
It's page 26, first resolution.
All right, page 26. So I will make a motion to take out of order Resolution 553 of 2021, accepting the retirement of Adeline Ofant, Associate Administrator in CPF.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Resolution 553 of 2021 accepts the retirement of Adeline Ofant, Associate Administrator in CPF.
Same second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. Lisa, did you want to say anything on this resolution?
I'd just like to publicly thank Adlin.
I had a feeling.
Lisa Combrink, CPF Manager. I just wanted to publicly thank Adeline Ofant for the more than 20 years of service at CPF. She's developed many of the databases that we have. She's kept the office going for all these years and developed a lot of very good systems that we still use today. I've worked with many assistants over the years, and her work ethic has always been exemplary. And I want to wish her good luck in her retirement and much happiness.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So we had a motion and a second. Just on the motion, I would echo what Lisa just said. We certainly wish Adeline the very best in retirement. But we really appreciate all that she has done for us as a town. She's been an extremely capable and hardworking individual, and it's a tough loss for us because she'll be, very difficult to find somebody to work at her level, but people are entitled to retire, and we certainly wish her the best. All right? Anyone else? All right.
Congratulations.
I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, and then the other one that Lisa is here for is 36662. So I will make a motion to take 3662 out of order.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so it is eligible now to be considered. Okay, so you all have the correct copy of it.
Well, it's
So it-
substitution
It's substitution.
now.
It's,
You walked this other one on already in the beginning of.
okay, so I have to then make now a motion to substitute.
Yes, please.
But it's the same thing.
It's not. It's just one half of it.
Right.
I know, but it's the same number. So I'm substituting 36662 for 366.
That's an ID
62.
number, which will turn into a resolution number once we finalize the agenda, because it's a walk-on. It has not yet been assigned a
Okay.
resolution number, so you're still.
All right, I'll just technically, we'll do it, because you all have the substituted copy that only relates to the Assembly bill the original related also to a Senate bill. So let me make a motion to substitute 36662, the version with just the Assembly bill, in for the original version that had both.
Second.
Second by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and I do want to explain this a little bit, but first let's get a motion in a second. I'll make a motion to approve 36662, a home rule request resolution in support of Assembly Bill A6668A as it relates to the discontinuance of parkland.
Same second, please.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. So on the motion, let me do my best to explain this. So we have already rezoned downtown Hampton-based through the form-based code in a process that we worked very hard on to try to revitalize downtown Hampton-based. We all are aware of some of the traffic issues already in downtown Hampton-Bays, and we have studied Hampton-Bays downtown for many years. We did a corridor study as well. We did the recent form-based code, and we have been working with planning on trying to figure out how to provide an additional roadway to alleviate some of the current traffic and future traffic by extending Good Ground Road from where it meets, help me out, Shinnecock Road, is it?
Springville.
Springville Road, Good Ground Road. Good Ground is the road where the train station is, to bring that along the railroad tracks and then heading north to meet up at the traffic light. The traffic light by Panera, Macy's, the diner, that very visible, very well-known intersection. To achieve this, one of the possibilities would be to literally move the diner property. The diner is going to be torn down, but it's commercial property, over just to the east. To the east is a piece of land that was purchased with CPF funds. There was other funds as well that were used on that property. This would allow a regularized intersection so that you could have the road come to the light. Other than that, it's extremely complicated. So because the piece that the diner property would be moving to is parkland, we have to create another piece of parkland, at least similar in size and value in the same school district, to swap with it. Now, to do this, Albany has to authorize it. Then separately, once Albany authorizes it, and they can't authorize it until there's a home rule message. So that's what's in front of us today. Should they authorize it, the town will have the option to put on the ballot for the public to vote in the entire town, not just Hampton Bays, whether this should occur. So we may not use it. It is a possibility. There may be other ways to do this. Maybe somebody will come up with a better plan for the road. Maybe we'll decide the road isn't necessary, but all of our documents seem to indicate that it's really important. This simply allows us the option, and Albany is only in session for a few more days. And so if we don't do this, this option's off the table for a year. And I have to say that the owners of the diner property have been extremely cooperative in working with the town, with myself and Janice Shearer, in allowing us to consider this as an option for the betterment of the Hampton Bays downtown. It's complicated. I understand that. Assemblyman Thiel was terrific in terms of working with the legislature to, at my request, to give us this opportunity so that we can consider this. So I don't know how Assemblyman Fred Thiel actually feels about it either. Only that the town is asking for this opportunity, and he is trying to provide us this opportunity. The legislature's going to have to vote, both the Senate and the Assembly. The Assembly bill has been amended to reflect the swap of the, what's called the Balkheimer property. So we needed a piece to swap, one that we have not preserved yet. The Balkheimer property is also in the Hampton-based School District. It's roughly 12 or 13 acres, I think 13 acres. It's a valuable piece of property, and, you know, later on today, we will have a resolution that would authorize me to sign a contract to acquire that property. So this bill does reflect the Balkheimer property. The Senate bill has not yet been amended to reflect the Balkheimer property. So that's why we did the substitution, to just make it about the Assembly bill. Now, I don't know, I know the Assembly is almost done. Senate may go a little bit longer. Do you know what, or Tommy John, what the...
June 11th, June 10th?
That's about the same. So we are likely going to have a special meeting just to do a home rule message on the Senate bill. Sorry about that. Right, Jim?
Yes.
So in that, maybe we'll be on Thursday. I'll try to tie it in with our work session if we can get that bill changed. In terms of whether we're allowed to, should this pass, vote on Balkheimer, I believe we can. As long, I just won't sign the contract until afterwards. Okay?
We have a little, right.
Wait a couple of
Today,
days.
we just like authorizing, so we want to keep on moving. We don't want to lose the property because we all know it's a very competitive market out there right now. So the resolution tonight will authorize us to move ahead with the possible purchase of it, and we need to do that as well.
All right, this is a complicated thing. Does there anybody have any questions about it? Great.
It is complicated, but just to be clear, we're doing this just so we have all our options open.
Exactly. It keeps our options, all options on the table, and then we can decide what's the best approach. And should we go this route, it would authorize a townwide referendum.
And we would do lots of education on the subject prior to anything.
And there'll be a completely separate vote on whether we should have that referendum.
Great.
Okay? All right, so we had a motion and a second on the substituted resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approved. Okay, so now, Lisa, there's nothing else you need? Okay, so now we go to the top. Or now, I guess, the second resolution in the packet. We did the first one, so I'm up to Resolution 530 of 2021, authorizes the purchase of motorcycles for the police department from Harley Davidson of Suffolk.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone. I think I say motorcycles, but I think it's just one motorcycle. Correct?
For a 2021 motorcycle.
Yes.
Do you want me to take the S off?
I don't think so.
Not to exceed 21,000, it's probably right
I
on.
think we're okay.
I think it's fine, and I believe this is, the money being used here is money that was donated to the police department for this purpose. So, okay, we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, 531 of 2021, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell, authorizes the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Saunders Broadcasting Corporation to provide public Wi-Fi at certain town beach facilities.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 532 is yours, John.
Town Board Resolution 532 of 2021, co-sponsored with Councilman Bouvier. This is to authorize the supervisor to sign a satisfaction of mortgage on a community development block grant loan.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 533 of 21 authorizes the supervisor to sign extension with J. Cole Construction Company, Inc. for Town Hall accessibility new elevator.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 534 of 2021 recalls and amends Town Board Resolution 246 of 21.
Second?
Second, this just adjusts some of the rates for towing and impound storage. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Next one is 535 of 21. It's co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone. It's a resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Sag Harbor for the payment of a fee by said village to permit Sag Harbor Village residents within the boundaries of the town of East Hampton to pay resident fees for the use of certain town of Southampton beaches.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone. We discussed this earlier with the public hearing. Scott Cameron, Sagmain, Foster's, and Mecox would all be with the $40 permit if you live on the East Hampton side, provided the Sag Harbor Village provides us with $10,000 in compensation. There is a missing dollar sign in one spot. I don't think, it's just a Scribner's error. Fee of $10,000 in the last whereas. It's understood, and it's later in the financial impact.
It's a
Okay,
Scribner's error.
I don't believe I need to amend it. Okay, we had a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Mr. Supervisor, before you continue, I just want to go back to the Resolution 530 about the motorcycles. I looked up, because I thought it was Harley Davidson, and there's a D missing. I'm just going to insert it throughout the resolution.
What's it?
Into the Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
There's a D missing. It's just a Scribner's error. I'm just going to go throughout the resolution
Okay, yeah,
and correct it.
that's fine.
Yeah, didn't notice that, thank you.
Any self-respecting
I would never drive a
motorcycle
Harley Davidson.
enthusiast would have
I
picked
was
that
pretty
up.
sure. I looked it up, and I just wanted to make sure.
Gotta get the name of the hog right.
I'm sure the letters are going to start coming.
Yeah.
How could we have misspelled Harley Davidson? So, okay.
We did.
On the next resolution, I needed a motion to substitute 36660 for the 2021-536. It's the last page in your walk-on packet.
Okay, so Rick is making a motion to substitute 36660 for 536 to 21. Who's seconding?
I did.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and now,
Okay,
Go
so it
ahead.
still identifies as 536, correct?
I don't know. I just read it as 36660.
Okay, Town Board Resolution 36660, award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract for Shinnecock Commercial Fishing Dock with Brant Marine Incorporated.
Is there a second?
Second?
Same second. Second by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2021-537, to award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract for Hampton-based transfer station booth replacement with MRJ Industries Limited.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2021-538 is co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone. It's a 2021 demolition of 503 Noyak Road, North Sea.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right. 539 of 2021 authorizes adoption of the 2021 CPF pilot plan and payment of 2021 pilots.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. So there are certain communities where CPF acquired lands that no longer pay property taxes. The CPF fund makes the school district and a few of the other fire districts, other tax districts whole. I think it's, well, at least it's, oh, at least it's gone. I don't know if it's library, it's, I know it's, oh, it is library, yeah.
Library.
Library and
ambulance.
school and fire districts. So, you can see on the chart the amount of money they each are receiving in CPF tax dollars. In, some of the districts, particularly school districts, the number is in excess of $1 million, so it is significant to them. It's probably based on the tax they were paying at the time, or the value of the property I don't know if it's the current values or at the time the town acquired them. I don't know if the sole assessor continues to adjust the values, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that would make sense that she would update it, but I'm not sure.
That's the assessed value.
100% sure of that.
All right, so it's really important to these communities. I know there's efforts to add to this list other communities.
I think considering our conversation earlier tonight, we may want to consider looking at some of our other communities as we're taking CPF, as we're taking properties off of the tax rolls, especially some large properties.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Understood. Okay, so we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. All right, 540 of 2021, deposits money into escrow account for professional services in connection with a groundwater monitoring plan review for Lewis Road planned residential development. Is there a second? This deposits $2,500 into an escrow account for future services, groundwater monitoring.
I'll second it.
Okay, otherwise it was going to fail for a lack of a second. So, second by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. All right, 541 of 2021, established restricted account for citizen science projects.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 542 of 2021, Hampton-based Volunteer Ambulance Corps Service Award Program. Co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone.
Second.
Tommy John. All right, seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. For the public, these are the LoSAP programs. Huh? So these are just basically accepting or verifying those volunteers who have met the requirements for LoSAP, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we are grateful for all of our volunteers. So, and didn't we do, Tommy John, we did something, we gave them some credit for COVID as well. That's factored in, right?
Yes, during the state of emergency of New York State, which started on March 7th, we awarded 3 points per month for 2020 for 10 months, prorating the month of March. So in March, they get 2 points. So they would get 29 points for the year in addition to what they actually served.
So
They were running calls. There were some members of our Corps who could not answer the call at that particular time because of operational procedures and people who they had in their life. So we wanted to make sure that they were made whole and they would continue volunteering for the community.
Okay, thank you for that. So these are all the people contained here who made their minimum 50 points with the,
I don't see a list here.
No, it doesn't have the list on it, but this will authorize the program.
Right.
For those who do make the 50 points.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, 543 of 2021 reappoints some members of the Conservation Board to a 2-year term, Ann Algieri, Jeremiah Collins, and George Hine. Oh, this is your resolution, John?
That's fine.
Do you want to read it?
No, you just did.
All right, well, how about,
Second your resolution?
I'll second it.
what's your resolution? Why don't you make the motion? I'm
Motion.
sorry, I didn't get
To
any
accept.
Texas barbecue,
second it.
so I'm hungry.
Seconded
All right,
by
seconded by Councilman Schiavone.
It's okay, you got 2 more opportunities.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2021-544 is to appoint George Hine Vice Chair of Conservation Board for 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2021-545 is to appoint Thomas Florio to the Conservation Board.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. Tom will be an excellent member. I think his resume should have been circulated
It was.
to everybody. It's quite an impressive resume. All right, do you want to read one of mine to get even? All right,
No,
five-
not really.
546 of 2021 authorizes additional funds for Devitt Spellman Barrett LLP as it relates to the matter of Fred W. Thiel Jr. versus the Town of Southampton Planning Board et al.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 547 of 21 authorizes additional funds for O'Brien and O'Brien LLP as it relates to the matter of Thomas J. Salvatore versus Deborah Renee Brathwaite and Gary J. Weber.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 548 of 21, resolution to authorize the settlement of the litigation matter Donald F. Woods Jr. versus the Town of Southampton.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 549 of 2021, resolution to adopt amendment to Town Code Chapter 111, Beaches, Parks, Waterway in connection with parking permit requirements at Foster Memorial Beach, Westcott Cameron Beach, Sagmain Beach, and Mecox Beach.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. We've already authorized the receipt of the payment. This is, creates basically the permit and fees. We held the hearing on this one in the past. So we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 550 of 2021, authorization of cost reimbursement waiver for Hampton-based High School Class of 2021 commencement parade held on June 21st, 2021, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2021-551, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, is a memorializing resolution in support of Assembly Bill A.2633 and Senate Bill S.6492, which enacts the Peconic Bay Region Community Housing Act.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. Just for the public, so this basically is in support of Assemblyman Thiel's legislation that would create the 0.5%.
That's right,
Right.
the housing front, and raise the lower limit where that exemption starts to $400,000 from $250,000.
Now, if it does pass, there'll be a public vote on it as well, a referendum.
That's right, we would require a public referendum to start such a program in the town of Southampton, and that would, of course, be in the fall if we could get the timing down. And I think it is on its way. Last year, the governor vetoed this bill. It did pass both houses, and it was vetoed. And it's unfortunate because had it not been vetoed, according to our assemblyman, the 5 East End towns would have had over $35 million in a housing fund for various affordable housing initiatives. So,
And this year, I think even more.
well, and right, and then, of course, this year is marching on in the same fashion. So it is supported by the real estate community. You know, they were part of crafting this legislation as well, and I hope it passes, and we can, you know, really make a dent in the crisis here on the east end of Long Island of
Yeah.
housing.
Particularly having a dedicated fund to do that is going to be critical. So there's a lot of support for it.
That's great. Okay, so we have thank you for that. We had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 552 of 2021, co-sponsored by Councilman Lofstad, Councilman Martell, Councilman Schiavone, and Councilman Bouvier. It's a memorializing resolution in support of Assembly Bill A6667 and Senate Bill S5984, authorizing the town of Southampton to enact a homestead exemption and cap on assessment increases for real property tax purposes. And I did mention this in the state of the town. It's really important if we can get this so that we can provide some relief when the real estate market shifts suddenly and allow some of our year-round folks as well to have, see their property taxes go down a little bit. So, who would like to second?
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. All right, we did the next one, which was Adlin's retirement. So we're at 554 of 2021. It accepts the retirement of Donald Bambrick, Animal Shelter Supervisor in Public Safety.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. Just on the motion, you know, Don has been there a long time. I don't really remember when he started. He certainly, I remember him there when I was East Hampton Supervisor, so he must be there a good 20-plus years.
Oh, at least. It's more like 35 maybe or something.
35
He's been
years.
He's been there a long time, Ellen.
You know, this is animal control. You know, it's another,
I don't want to date him.
another great public servant. We wish they could stay with us forever, but, you know, they have certainly earned their retirements. And, you know, we're grateful for their service and wish them the best in retirement, so. Don is another one of our, you know, our great public officials, so, town officials. All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved?
Congratulations.
All right, 555 of 2021 accepts the resignation of an administrative assistant in land management.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 556 appoints Elizabeth Cohen to legislative aid and trustees.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 557 of 21 appoints Allison Spano to administrative assistant position in public safety.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 558 of 21 creates custodial worker 2 position in municipal works and appoints Robert Colson to that position.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 559 of 21 appoints Craig Carroll to custodial worker 1 position in public works.
And municipal works.
Oh, I'm
Second.
sorry, what did I say? Public works and municipal works.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2021-560 is a notice of public hearing to accept a grant of conservation easement from Joseph F. Gaza for property to be maintained as open space located in Quiog pursuant to Southampton Town Code Chapter 244-4, obtaining a development rights certificate, and to Chapter 247, General Municipal Law of the State of New York.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 561 of 21, authorize acquisition of lands of Shinnecock Corporation, Shinnecock Hills, and amends the CPF management and stewardship plan to include that property. This is a half an acre piece on Sugarloaf Road, so it is in a sensitive area, as you know, culturally sensitive area. And the price on this
450.
is $450,000. All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, 562 of 21 authorizes acquisition of lands of the estate of Peter Balkheimer, Hampton-based.
It says, yeah.
I think we can move forward with this. You know, I discussed this with Assemblyman Thiel, as long,
Yeah,
We haven't actually acquired the property.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. You know,
At the time that the Senate votes on it, and the
Yeah,
Assembly votes, if it's okay if it's scheduled to be acquired in the future.
Absolutely.
So, all right, so,
But, I'm sorry, on the motion, does that imply to the seller? What if in fact it does not pass the Senate?
I think we're.
well, okay. If it doesn't
Maybe-
pass the
there may be
Senate,
many reasons why
this
we won't
can't be
acquire
used
the
as a swap. Doesn't mean we won't acquire the property. Okay? So it's just showing the Assembly that we are acquiring additional lands for preservation. That we're not just, eliminating a park piece. We can discuss that at a further point. So 562 of 2021, authorizing the acquisition of lands of the estate of Peter Balkheimer, Hampton-Based, amending the CPF and stewardship plan to include that property. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. I think this is a really important acquisition. It's a great habitat. It's a culturally sensitive property. It's literally just a little bit west of that Fort Hill area map that Teal Troge held up earlier. It's just off that map on the wall there. It's a great I think this is a tremendous acquisition.
I will look into that.
All right, so that was approved. And John, you're next.
Town Board Resolution 2021-563 is a road review application for Anthony Mezzatesta, Suffolk County Tax Map as indicated, situated North Sea is accepted.
Second?
Second by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
I'm sorry. My apologies.
All right.
Thought I had that off. Okay. Second one, 564?
564.
Town Board Resolution 2021-564 is a road review application for Michael Mezzatesta. Suffolk County Tax Map as indicated on the resolution, situated North Sea is accepted.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 565 is yours, John?
Sorry. Town Board Resolution 2021-565 is a road review application for Soji 51 Arbutus Road LLC. Suffolk County Tax Map as indicated on the resolution at Shinnecock Hills is accepted.
Second.
Seconded by
Councilman Scavone.
Councilman Scavone. Jim, is this that lot on the corner
It is.
of the curve?
Yes.
Is
Yes,
this
it is.
going to present a problem?
It was a property that we did try to acquire. The CPF was not successful in acquiring, so I don't know. Speaking with Christine Fenton, I don't believe it really will have it.
She's aware of our efforts, right?
Oh, very much so, yeah. No. I have talked to her, she's aware of this, obviously she participates in her department is the one that,
And this has been completed. This is a road review.
yeah.
So it's
yeah.
been-
Tom Houghton
Right.
was the one involved in the road review here. Christine knows everything about, is very aware of that and is very aware of our goals on that Shinnecock Road as well.
Is there anything about this resolution, though, that interferes with it?
No, I don't believe so. All this is just,
This just accepts the application?
it's, basically, it gives him what he has to do to get his building
This-
permit to build
Right.
what he wants to do.
This is what you need to have in order to build something
Since it's
on.
not technically on a public road, he's not fronting on a public road, so he has to get this to obtain his building permit. So, what this does is allow him to build what he needs to do to get access out to whatever road that is.
So this is not going to present a problem should we want to open Shinnecock Road?
I don't believe so, no. Christine Fenton was very aware of this application, participated in this. Tom Houghton, her assistant, participated in this, and is, obviously very aware of what we were looking to do on that Shinnecock Road property, so.
Is this time sensitive that we couldn't table it to get confirmation, or?
Don't know, I'm
Well, it is
looking for
their
building permit.
recommendation, but if you want to table it, I
For
don't,
2 weeks, I think it's probably okay.
you could probably do it, but this is what they're recommending.
Yeah.
And they've been involved in the whole subject since the beginning. I mean, it was,
I think at first there was some talk about having this lot pave Shinnecock Road.
A portion of the road.
Yeah, a portion of the road to almost to the width of the property, so, but I think they dialed down on that to some degree, but he still has to do a certain amount of paving on the property.
Let me just read the recommendation of the engineers. So it's construction of road base, laying of asphalt, installation of drainage structures. Okay, as long as it doesn't interfere with, that neighborhood, as you know, has
Right.
some real concerns about egress.
Sure. Yeah. No, I don't believe it has any direct impact at all. This fronts along on that road, but it doesn't impact our ability to construct that road if we want to move forward.
Okay, so we have motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're up to 566 of 2021. This assumes lead agency for the purpose of SECRA in connection with a change of zone application entitled Concern for Independent Living that requests a change from R20 to multifamily, MF44, and an increase in residential density pursuant to 330-8 to enable 12 units per acre in order to construct a 60-unit supported housing development that is 100% affordable in the hamlet of Southampton.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. And we'll move on to the walk-on packet, starting with 36626, authorizes the supervisor to execute a 2021 annual software support and maintenance agreement with HLP Inc. for Chameleon Software Products for the Animal Shelter.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Rick, you're next.
Yeah, Town Board Resolution ID 36630, the 2021 notice to bidders for mobile ice cream truck concession for Ludlam Avenue Park.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. 36644. Rick?
2021 notice to bidders for mobile ice cream truck concessions for Red Creek Park and Good Ground Park.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 36648 is warrant number 10, capital 10, CPF 10, and payroll liability.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
ID 36664, recall and amend Town Board Resolution 2021-474, active military and veteran discount card program.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. Just, Julie, how is it being amended?
We're increasing the budget from $500 to $700 because we've had a huge outpouring of requests from our local vets and active military, so we need to buy some more supplies.
How does this work, the Veterans Discount Card?
Well, they apply either online, or they come into the clerk's office or give the clerk's office a call, and they have to provide certain ID, which we have tweaked to make it easier for them, and they get a card, and then local businesses throughout the town, I think we have about 15 signed up right now, they offer whatever kind of discount they want, so when a veteran or active military goes into a business, they flash their card, and they get a discount, and we thank them for their service.
So our money that we spend is just in the administrative side?
Yes, supplies, yes.
Okay.
For the cards. yeah.
This was a program that actually V. Bennett had started early on and did not get the success, so I congratulate you, Julie, for doing that. I think it's really important.
The vets came out in
Lined up
numbers, yeah.
out the door.
I saw the picture.
It's great to see.
In my
Wish I could've been
office.
there.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's a great thing.
Very excited about it.
And that's great that the businesses are offering those discounts.
Yep,
Love that. Yeah.
great.
Do other towns do this, or?
Some towns do.
That's great, that's great.
And
Sounds
some
like it.
specific businesses do,
Yeah.
larger.
Yeah, several of the businesses already had vets discounts, so it was a bit of a no-brainer for them to sign up.
Yeah, I think Lowe's and some of those big home improvement stores do that as well. Home Depot, I think. as
All
well.
right, so did we vote on it?
I don't think so.
We have a motion, and we had a who seconded
I
it?
didn't have a second.
All right, Councilman Martell is seconding. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
ID 36665, accept donation from Better Bait Company for the Southampton Town Active Military and Veteran Discount Card Program.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
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 And if I could say, this is Councilwoman Lofstadt's business that's making the donation. Don't embarrass you, but I think it's very generous of you.
We like our vets.
That you jumped right in when some extra funding was needed to get more supplies.
Oh, excellent. All right, so, there was, hold on, should she recuse herself because she's making the donation?
I think
From accepting the donation?
Unless it's monopoly money, I
Does it matter?
No, I don't think so. No,
Okay.
Think we're going to get sued?
All right, no,
It was the other way around. If he was taking the money,
Right,
we'd have a
right,
problem.
playing it safe.
At least it should be applauded.
All right, so we'll take our chances here.
Okay.
So there's a motion and a second, and did we vote, all in favor?
You did.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, we did.
Well, wait, is that American dollars?
Okay, and
It's in
then,
Last one.
Something.
the last one
We've done.
was the food concession, right?
Yeah, we're done.
At
We did
Diana, we
We're
took
done.
care of that. I think we have reached I could use some Texas barbecue at this point, so, we have reached the end of our agenda. I want to thank the board. It's good to be back, even though it was a long meeting. It's good to see everybody in person. I remind us all, not that you need to be reminded, that COVID is still here. It probably will be for a long time, and please be safe, follow all the guidance. And if there's no other business, is there any other business? I will make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.